I know that you guys may or may not want to talk about it, but we got to talk about it, man. Should the Steelers stick with Justin Fields? Look, you all gave me the blues when I said that Fields played bad against the Raiders. I admitted I was wrong. He didn't play bad. He didn't play great, but he didn't play bad. He did not. But if you go back before the Raiders game, what did I tell you? I said that Justin Fields has to play an outstanding football game for him to be able to keep his job. If you go back and you look, I said that. I said he's got, and it's in the report card, or not the report card, the scouting report of the Raiders game. I said Justin Fields has to play an outstanding football game for him to be able to keep his job. And if he does that, he'll be able to keep it. Well, he didn't do that. I mean, again, he didn't play bad, but he didn't play outstanding. And everything that the tidbits and the little clips that came out today, Russell Wilson was doing everything first. It hadn't been that way all season long. And I told you that Mike Tomlin was going to make Russell Wilson the starter if Justin Fields didn't play great. So I said it. Didn't say that that's what I preferred. A matter of fact, you go back to the very first podcast that we did April 4th of this year. I said I thought Justin Fields needed to be the starter, needed to go win the job because he could be the quarterback for the next decade. Well, I don't even know that Mike Tomlin gave him a fair chance to win the job, but it doesn't sound like he won the job. And now that Russell Wilson's healthy, he's the starter. And I said it that was going to happen. It's not that I was wishing for it or wanting it, but I know Mike Tomlin. I mean, we've followed Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, long enough. We know what he does. And this is what he said. And yesterday in his press conference, he basically came out and told us that Russell was going to be the starter without just flat out saying that Russell Wilson was going to be the starter. I mean, he just basically told us that. Today, we saw it. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. You got to get him out there and see what he can do. Because if he does give us a better chance to win, then okay, I can dig it. Now, the one thing that I know for a fact, Justin Fields is going to get us out of bad plays with his legs, get us out of bad anything with his legs. He's going to do that. And Russell Wilson, I'm not saying Russell Wilson's a statue, but Justin Fields can turn a bad play by an offensive lineman into at least a 2 or 3 yard gain. He can get out of that kind of trouble. He can do that. So that's what we need him to do. Okay, great. Russell Wilson, not really going to be able to do that. The fault, or I guess the flip side, there's throws that are being missed down the field that Justin Fields either doesn't see, doesn't trust it, and won't throw it. Russell Wilson's going to throw those balls. He is. He's going to make those passes because he can get there. So that's all I'm saying with that part is that he's going to get to those throws that Justin Fields isn't getting to. Now, a lot of the stuff, Fields needs some help. He needs better play calling, needs better offensive line play, and for crying out loud, he needs receivers that can get some separation. Both of the quarterbacks are going to need that. They're all going to need that. And we'll get to George Pickens here in a little bit. But they're going to need all of that. But that's kind of the downside of Fields versus Wilson. So, but yeah, he's going to get us out of some bad plays, man. I thought he was the future. Justin Fields is the future. Do you all still think that? Like, because Fields hasn't played bad, except Dallas, I'm going to say Fields played bad. But everything else, he hasn't played bad. So, I mean, is he the future? Can you say a guy that you're actually going to bench, is that the future? Because make no mistake about it, he's lost his job to Russell Wilson. I mean, how do you say, okay, this guy that we're 4-2 with, he's only played one bad game, and now we're going to somebody else. but this guy's going to be the future. How does that work? I mean, seriously. I mean, how does that work? How do you say that the guy that you're benching when you have a winning record is going to be the future quarterback of your franchise? I never seen that before. I never seen it before. Even if they were playing bad, it's still at 4-2. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's odd. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel bad for Justin Fields, to be honest with you. I feel bad for him because I feel like he thinks, hey man, with everything that's going on, I got us to 4-2. I helped us get to 4-2. But if we're really being honest, go back to that Broncos game. Go back to the Falcons game. While he did make a couple of throws that got called back, I mean, especially the Broncos game, that was defense. Defense got us that victory. The defense got us that victory by shutting the team down. So you can say the same thing for the Falcons. Falcons been scoring points left and right all year long, except against the Steelers. So I don't know. It's tricky. So I do like this comment though. I do like it. Says Tom will end up with egg on his face. Justin will be back after the Jets game. He's not coming back after the Jets game unless Wilson gets hurt. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Here's the thing. Mike Tomlin's not going to admit that mistake for a couple of weeks. That's what I'm telling you. Unless Russell Wilson gets hurt, Russell Wilson could have the worst game in the world. As long as he's not hurt, he will start the next football game against the Giants. That part I can guarantee you. But I've said it a million times. The part of a mistake is living in the mistake. It's fine. Well, it's not always fine to make the mistake, but nobody's perfect. So we make mistakes from time to time. But when we live in the mistake, that's where the problem comes in. And I believe Mike Tomlin is willing to live in it for a while. Don't know why. But everybody's got an ego, man. Everybody's got an ego. So it is what it is. And he would be going back on his word because if you listen to his press conference, what he said in his press conference is, we're trying to be great. And we've got somebody with talent that we haven't seen yet that's now healthy. Well, if that talent turns out to be bad, then who cares? That's all I'm saying. Who cares? So, but yeah, he's got it. Both of them are going to need help from the wide receiver room. I don't care what. They're going to need some help from the wide receiver room. Some guys are going to have to start getting some separation. Some other guys are going to have to start catching the ball a little bit more consistently. We're going to have to get some better play calling by Arthur Smith. But even at that, you call the plays. If the guys aren't getting open, you can't blame that on the offensive coordinator. You can't blame that on the quarterback. It's just, but I think it comes back to we don't have great receivers. So we just don't. We just don't. And a comment in here says we need to move both. Or said we need to see both to move on from Pickett. I mean, we were going to move on from Kenny Pickett. First of all, Kenny Pickett should have never been drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start there. There was no reason to draft Kenny Pickett at number 20. None whatsoever. So that was the first mistake. The second mistake, well, I guess it was in reverse order. You sign Mitchell Trubisky. That's number 1. Then you draft Kenny Pickett. That was number 2. But you eliminated that mistake. So I'm with you. So, the receivers aren't open like that, man. There's some times that they're getting missed. Don't get me wrong, but they're not getting a ton of separation. Let's not kid ourselves. I do think we got to start using Calvin Austin Jr. a lot more, though. I think we can use him more. Throw the ball his way a little bit more. But I think that's part of Justin Fields' thing. He doesn't see the field that great. He doesn't anticipate throws that great. So sometimes it's a problem.